Welcome back, Saints Nation. We're getting ready for game number 2 between JHU Blue Jays and the St. Clair Saints. Game 1 was a little rough to say the least, but we're going to have to see what happens here for game number 2. Even though St. Clair looked like they had the better draft, overall, just the execution from JHU was just that much better.
Yeah, you saw just the amount of jungle pressure that they had, as well as laning pressure in every single lane. They just got it completely outdrafted. St. Clair, they need to change up a whole lot. We were hearing a little bit of murmurs going on during the break, so we could be seeing a couple of new champions come out here. As you gotta look for it. They gotta look for a couple of champions. Definitely in the last game itself, there was a lot that needed to be changed. See if they could do it in the ban phase right now.
Well, we'll have to see. Maybe a little scenery switch up too with St. Clair being on the blue side this time. Maybe they could change up the banning strategy as well. We shall see.
I also really like the Ornn ban coming through for Johns, just because Ornn's really good on blue side. But the problem is that no one's going to let Ornn go through first pick. so
just get rid of it.
Exactly. Ban it out over on red side.
Okay, I like this ban, though, coming out from St. Clair. Just getting rid of the Silas right away. Don't want to deal with it. It was too strong that last game.
Yep.
4, however you want to pronounce his tag, was just too dang good that first
4
game.
is what I like to call him. But the first
I'm happy now. Let's
Syndra is interesting just because you're exposing your mid lane off the bat.
Are you, though?
Yeah, you're a mobile mage mid lane, Syndra.
But don't they also play a bot?
They could. They could. They want to do that. The only problem is does Blazin actually play Syndra bot lane? Is the one big question I have as well. Lucian is going to be picked up for the bot lane down here. We know that Jax loved to play this champion in the last draft. But I'm wondering if the draft is going to be the same thing as last time, where they're going to draft a bunch of knockups into a Yasuo. Definitely worked last time for Nates.
Yeah, very true. And if Saints do pick up on that, they could very well just straight up ban the Yasuo after a couple of the supporters for it gets drafted, unless they do pick it early, which I highly doubt they will. We have a Rise actually coming out instead.
Yeah, Rise going to be played in the mid lane. Definitely really good into someone like Syndra. Take Phase Rush on the Rise, and you do just so much burst damage. You have a lot of disengage, and immediately turns Rise into kind of a mobile mage into a very fast one with Phase Rush. But on the other side, we got a Hover. We've got the Olaf.
Okay, this is a Jussie champion if I've ever seen it. Just absolutely charge in, deal as much damage while still being a tanky beast. And then Vigar.
Yes. So we have been seeing a lot of mages in the bot lane, one of them also being Vigar. You put Vigar and Nami down in the bot lane and you're unkillable.
Really?
Yeah, it's very weird. It's very, very weird. But we've been seeing it all throughout Twitch Rivals in those high elo teams where they have silver bot lanes. You're just like, okay, just play Vigar and Nami and just sit back and don't die.
Crowd control, alt, delete.
Exactly. You have the Veigar ultimate that's so strong. You were talking about Jussie's pick as well, the Olaf going to be coming through. So we know for sure that Olaf's going in the jungle. We have no idea where Syndra or Veigar are going.
Yeah, definitely a little odd. We have the Graves coming out actually on the side of the Blue Jays as well. This is probably, a jungle?
Yep.
Okay.
So Graves has been slowly making a comeback in the jungle. We saw it in amateur a little bit, where Graves was played jungle. I heavily criticized it as being one of the worst junglers, and then the team ended up winning. So yeah, caster curse.
Of course, it always happens that way.
Of course. So Graves, I have no idea if this champion is good or not. I haven't seen a very fed Graves to the point where it's just carrying games. But we could see it here.
Just waiting on one more ban here for St. Clair as we see the Yuumi and the Mordekaiser get taken off the board from the Blue Jays.
You usually see...
There's the Yasuo.
Yeah. You usually see champions in the same pool get taken out. Yuumi and Mordekaiser are not obviously in the same lane.
No.
So that's it's a top lane and a support pool, but definitely really good from the Yuumi. Considering that St. Clair's bot lane wants to play defensive here. Just taking a look at the comp, they just want to stall for late game. That's basically what they're saying with their early game comp. But who do they want to pick here? Nautilus is going to be locked in as well. We know that Rixie ended up playing it in the last game. If it's not broke, don't fix it, and that's what this Nautilus is saying here.
Yeah, now we're just looking for...
Wait,
a support and something. I have no
Yeah.
idea at this point.
Me neither. Nautilus was actually played by Night Soap.
Yeah.
That was my bad.
What is this?
Okay, they're getting a little bit hypey as the York going to be getting locked in. From what I usually see out of York players, he's a noob killer. He was like a Darius. There's a little pool of champions in League of Legends that love to kill noobs. Veigar is definitely one of them. Darius is one of them. York is another one. Alawi is also in that pool. But York, once he ends up getting his Sheen or his Phage, turns into a very strong champion.
Interesting. Now, I'm going to guess that's probably a top lane, and instead of a defensive support, we've got the Night Soap Alistar.
Yep. So Alistar going to be coming through like you said. This is just the weirdest draft I've ever seen in my life. Syndra, I want to say that Syndra is going to be going in the mid lane, but it's not because you actually predicted that Syndra going to be going in the bot lane. Veigar for Young Falcon was banned out in game 1 versus him. So there was the Veigar ban that he drew out. However, here in this one, they saw the Sejuani, they saw the Ornn and the Kled being heavily prioritized over it. So Veigar could work here.
I mean, there's a couple targets that look like they can just get straight up nuked in this this JHU lineup. Obviously, just don't target Nautilus, don't target Renekton, and you're probably all right. But I feel like to try and actually execute this is going to get brutal.
Yeah, there's so many potentials for both of these squads here. As I want to analyze the draft itself just a little bit more. We were seeing the different prioritizations all across the board. I do like how Rise just last second took cleanse there. Lucian, or both of these ADCs, one of them going to be taking TP though. I like Blazin doing that. Maybe he overheard, maybe he didn't. But definitely really good on his front just to get to lane a little bit faster. Of course, you also have the Veigar and the York. Could they channel the TPs all together and synergize it? I'm not too sure if they have that much synergy, but it's a possibility.
We'll definitely see. It's funny how they did switch over to the teleport, going over to the playroom, giving them some coaching or something in between rounds. Let's go.
Something like that.
But yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. We got to see if this odd composition from St. Clair is something they'll be able to execute a little better, because game 1, I'm not exactly sure what their plan was going into that, but they looked like they had the all-around team composition that looked like you'd be able to handle it, and they just got absolutely smoked. So let's hope that they can essentially delete some people with this setup that they're going for.
I'm looking at Johns University's comp, and they have a powerhouse that they have drafted so far. The Renekton in the top lane
is pretty brutal. Yeah.
It's going to do the same thing. The Renekton in the top is going to do the exact same thing as we saw in the last game. The Graves as well in the jungle, going to be that farming objective taker. Like we know that Graves loves to do. Maybe 4 is a little bit more aggressive in terms of taking objectives. We definitely saw him take both of the Heralds. So that could definitely work out for him. The Rise as well in the mid lane is going to be playing very passive. And I like how they picked this up early on as well. As the counter to Syndra, but not only Syndra, also to Veigar and whoever the enemy team wanted to draft towards him. So
even though Rise does do a boatload of damage himself, he also does get at least moderately tanky as the game goes on, right? So not exactly going to be too bad going up against a couple burst mages.
Right.
And then we all know Jaxelian and Lucian. He looked like he was having a blast last game, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a big frontliner that I'm usually supposed to fear. I do not care at all. Just use my mobility towards you.
Yeah.
No risk, or full risk, and no regret with this guy. It should be a fun one.
Give Lucian a couple of kills, and it turns into a scenario of Lucian popping off. And we saw that there in the last game. Nautilus, pairing up with the Nautilus is going to be massive. Definitely love that comp over there. As well, over on the other side, St. Clair, they have a very passive mid-game comp. The only problem that I see is that they're only useful in the mid-game. They're not useful in the early game. That kind of worries me a little bit, because in the last match, they weren't able to get to that point.
Do you think we'll see an invade?
Out of Nautilus, maybe. Definitely maybe. Just because in the last one, they looked like they wanted to go for one, but they were playing, passive, right? So they could go aggressive here in this match.
I'm I'm just picturing it that JHU just feels so dang cocky after that
I would
first
be
one.
too.
That, like, hey, whatever. We have another game if worst case scenario happens.
Exactly.
Let's just dive their jungle.
Yep. They've got so much disengage, St. Clair do, as well as the other team. The basic gist of both of these comps is that St. Clair have went for a mid to late game comp where they need to literally not fight until they hit their 2-item power spikes. On the other side, though, John's University, they're looking for a little bit of early game damage as well as to get their bruisers ahead in the early game. And that's going to really tell the difference between who wins or loses.
And it's just about time almost. This match is almost getting ready to get started here. Just trying to think if there are any last thoughts before we get into this one.
No. Nothing too crazy as we head into game number 2 here of the cLoL League. Let's check this one out. We
got Cowbell.
Of course.
Perfect.
That's the most excited I've heard you all cast, Anders. I'm going to be honest.
Gotta have it for the Cowbell.
You have to. Whenever you play Alistar, of course. We do see the tick at the top updated. How JHU do have one little dot. That just means that they won game number 1.
And at least with the setup the way it is this moment, it doesn't look like JHU is going to try any sort of invade. He's at this second.
Young Falcon taking just a little bit of damage off of Nate's. Trying to trade back and forth, and of course the Veigar Q doesn't do any damage in the early game.
It just tickles.
Yeah, something like that, as now Jesse looking for just a couple of more slows as the Kite potential is going to be coming out. Really love that Grave skin, by the way.
That was nice. Okay, this is going to be probably just a deep ward. There it goes.
I think it's the Academia skin line. Professor Graves, that's what it's called.
Interesting.
Yeah, really cool. Young Falcon also going to be taking the Glacial Augment. Every time you auto attack or I believe use an ability, you slow your opponent, and you see it a whole lot on Senna's. But on Veigar, you also see it just a little bit, as there's really no good rune for Veigar. But
I mean, I guess if you're just spamming your Q, just might as well get a slow on top of it, I guess. Make that W a little easier to hit, maybe.
Exactly. Standard starts on both sides here of the map. It's going to be starting on their bot side, which means both of these junglers want to be prioritizing the top side of their map. Jesse also not going to be taking the Silas approach in the last match. Going to be skipping over his Krugs, going immediately over to his Raptors just to try and get a little bit of extra gold.
And off we go. We see that beautiful overlay by this production team. Oh yeah, guys are awesome, and we got the engage right away. A little bit of back and forth damage, but I guess at level 1 you only have so many abilities, right?
Yep. Yeah, you can't really do anything versus a Lucian. Auto attack based champion versus an auto attack based mage. Work. Yeah. So Syndra's doesn't really fit that pool. However, a lot of damage going down onto Blazing. He's going to be able to flash out of that scenario.
That's rough.
Yeah, they just try and reset.
Instantly happen to blow the flash. Just, I don't know if he got hooked or what happened there, but that's kind of setting them up for a bad time. I know. Maybe like a level or 2 as Lucian gets all 3 abilities or something like that.
Yep. A lot of damage going back and forth here in this bot lane. Blazin also having to use just 1 health pot is fine, as in the top lane we see Renekton going crazy. The slice, no dice coming out onto him, as the Ghoul's actually going to be doing a whole lot of damage. It's a little bit unexpected.
Yeah, traded at least a bit of it back, but she's 1 Renekton combo and you're down to a quarter HP.
Yep.
Absolutely brutal.
Never fun to be facing that Renekton up here in the top lane. Going to be 17 CS to 7 as he goes in. Slice, dice, everything nice. 1 more auto attack. First blood going through here onto the Renekton. Basically the same game as we ended up seeing there in the last one.
Oh, we actually got a replay of that top lane kill, so let's take a look a little bit further.
Yeah, he just goes and he looks for his advantage. Level 3 to level 2, and Lord Touch Me wanted to walk up, even though he did end up getting the level 3 and also leveled it up. Doesn't matter, because the cage doesn't do too much versus an E versus Renekton.
And not even the tower helping out on that one. Eh? That was close, but nicely done there from 25th. We have 4 and 25th. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting names on the side of JHU.
Yeah, numbers is what the name of the game is here. Graves also showing in the mid lane is kind of ballsy. I didn't like that too much, because now they know exactly where Graves is. They can track this jungler if they're good enough.
You can actually see like Night Down came down a little bit just in case St. Clair decided to get a little aggressive onto him, but not happening this time.
Nope.
Jesse making a trip down bot lane, possibly help out the squad a little bit.
Yeah. Standard stuff on both sides.
Yeah.
Coming through. Of course, you said that Jesse wants to look towards his bot lane. I don't know.
Or just Krugs.
Yeah, just Krugs. Krugs is sometimes the name of the game there. Dragon also going to be coming up very, very soon, as he's actually going to leave the rest of the Krug camp. Of course, it does reset.
Oh, they're going to walk into it. Oh, but okay.
Nice ward.
Yeah. Good timing.
Nice ward going to be coming out from Nautilus. Just means that they avoid a huge scenario that they run into.
Yeah, I guess Olaf can't really just like do any sort of long distance engage on you, so you're pretty safe to just drop that ward there.
Exactly. Also in the top lane, going to be a frozen scenario coming through, as there is a 10 CS lead, and that's going to easily turn into 20 if he can do this correctly, as Reckon actually going to be going in here. Does about half of Lord's health bar. He's going to be using his one corrupting pot. He's got 2 more, so he's fine, but this is a massive wave pushing into Renekton.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit rough here for Lord Touch. Me just probably going to try and stay in experience range and not worry about too much CS, and that lead's just going to get further and further.
Yeah.
But it's all he could really do at this point. It's just rough to have to deal with. And he's so far away, and Renekton still doesn't care.
Nope.
25th just taking half your health casually.
You see the CS numbers all across the board, 40 to 24 in the top lane. The jungle just a 3 CS lead. In the mid lane, it's only 4. In the bot lane as well, there's 10. And you're seeing the gold lead as well at the top of the screen, a 1K lead already going for JHU. It's mainly because of the CS as well as the first blood going across. Just adds for a little bit of a gold lead. We also see Jussie up here.
Yeah, there isn't a ward up here, so 25th doesn't know. There it goes, and he's going to still just feel completely fine.
Yep. You take out the pink. This is the reason why you grab 2 pinks when you go back to base. You take the one, and you're kind of saying that one is going to get sacrificed at some point, and you have an extra one in your pocket, which is really nice. Also, major CS denial going to be coming through here. There's no XP denial, but definitely it's very hard to farm under tower.
Graves here to play too. We're going to get this tower dive. And teleport coming in. This is from St. Clair's side. It's Blazin going to push him right into Lord Touch Me. The flash from 25th was good as well, but Blazin is going to be able to pick it up. It's just going to be a 1v1. Graves under the tower with Syndra. They're going to both take some decent damage, but back away in the end.
Nice little 1-for-1 going through here for St. Clair, as we just see a little bit of action down here in the bot lane as well. A replay going to be going through, as they want to try and dive this as best as possible. The initial dash comes out from Renekton, but I believe he ended up using it on the last one. He also flashes in, which is good, but Blazin with an amazing TP. And this is what I was talking about earlier, is that if they can channel off their TPs perfectly like that, then it could be really good. And we also saw that there in the top lane, so that's amazing.
In the meantime there, that was Jesse who did sneak the dragon, so small victories are starting to show up here for St. Clair. Adjustments being made, and so far so good. I mean, they're still down almost 2K gold at this point, just from essentially CS alone.
Yep.
But they're trying to keep it on, is trying to keep it closer this time versus the Blue Jays.
Yeah, and the Blue Jays' comp is mostly about that mid-game as well. Picking the Rise, slowly building your tier up. You have your Blasting one, which is really good as well. You have your Lucian, who usually likes to pop off around that mid-game point, too. The one thing that's really good for Syndra, though, is she has her Lost Chapter. She ended up going back to base, grabbing that item for herself. Just means that she has a little bit more damage here in the bot lane, and also has kill potential here on the Lucian if they can actually get a stun off.
Well, that's good. One solid pick, and being able to just delete somebody would be absolutely fantastic. Well, they're kind of thinking about it, but stun didn't connect.
You saw how much damage just one sphere did to Lucian, and that's
not bad.
It's because of the Lost Chapter. It's very, very strong.
Well, it's definitely good, because CS-wise, Lucian was just running away, so Blazin getting that kill is pretty clutch in this situation. Yeah,
it's definitely huge. He ended up going up into the top lane, so of course he grabbed a kill for himself. He lost a little bit of CS in the process, but it's still fine. It's still a kill onto Syndra, and this is what we were mainly talking about with 4 and his ability to play Graves to this potential. usually means that he loves to grab objectives, but now we're looking for the rest of the squad of St. Clair. Who is going to be able to help out this Graves right now?
Oh, yeah, because Justy's coming up right now into the pit. They're doing this Herald right on top of Ward, so he knows it's going to happen. And 4 is just tanking a ton of damage, and Justy's going to charge in, does get the kill, and they're going to try and snag this guy, but so far not going to hit. This W just out of range.
Yeah, they're also going to be picking up the Herald for themselves.
Oh, no,
Justy did that there. Also, the Fur is going to be going through Young Falcon. Comes in, presses R, and flashes over the wall. That's absolutely perfect, as Lucian going to be grabbing a kill here in the bottom lane. Alistar does have his ultimate still. Not going to be using it just yet. Maybe saving it for that 2 health Alistar HP that we usually see out of Alistar mains. Are they going to be diving this, though? Answer currently is no.
He said he still has Assault, right?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, could be a little bit risky.
Nothing going to be coming out just yet. Is also in the top lane. A lot of damage going back and forth as Renekton going to be doing a decent amount of damage over to Yorick. Same thing over on the other side. However, this bot lane is going to be going crazy. TP also going to be coming out as a 3v3 going to be turning into a 4v2. Also a lot of damage going back and forth. Lord looking for the ADC, looking for these main targets, and they're going to be slowing the Lucian right now. Night Soap also going to be going down 1-for-1 over there. Blazing going to grab a kill for himself. The axe right into the back.
Nice shot.
Just means that Justy grabbed a shutdown gold for himself, and a lot of trading potential going back and forth. Wow.
Night Soap basically just sacking himself for the sake that that Blazing could take care of this. And it looks like we're going to actually go to the replay for this one.
Of course, there was the Graves down there in the bot lane. We're out to see what ends up happening to him after, but a really nice TP coming through as well, as the initial dive was a little bit too over-aggressive. JHU Blue Jays, they end up saying, there is 2 members under tower. Let's still try and go for this, and it didn't really work out for them. Blazin coming in with the Syndra just means that mages are a little bit good in the bot lane.
Yeah, not doing too bad. Then we got another teleport down bottom, but they are going to retreat. Young Falcon. Actually, almost still got him, but that could have been something.
Was close. Was very, very close. St. Clair is still down 1k, and it's mainly because of the CS in the top lane, 50 CS lead up there. But Lord doing a lot of damage. He ended up grabbing himself a Ninja Tabbies, which is amazing. I was also talking about the Sheen power spike that Yorick likes to get, and he's going to help him with his ghouls just a little bit more. He does have his ultimate available. He's going to be using that just to do a little bit more damage. I was going to say to the tower, but no, not right now.
I mean, St. Clair's showing some life here between where they had caught the Graves off guard, got the Herald for it, plus a kill, only trading Blazing for it. Then that last team fight we saw down bottom, they're showing like a little bit of confidence still, even though it was a rough game 1. Keeping himself in this game, if they can just keep surviving,
that's true.
This comp has a chance at life.
That's what we were saying in Champion Select, is that they need to wait for the mid-game point, and we'll maybe see if it can happen in the top lane, though we do see Renekton going to be taking that tower. First tower going to be going over. Justy now in a 1v1 scenario versus the Nautilus is going to be taking him down. Really nice. No assist also going to be going back and forth. Lord ends up grabbing a kill onto Renekton. Renekton saying, I don't really care. I want to trade a tower up here and just start that snowball potential. But Justy, known to be that master. A lot of damage going back and forth. 1-for-1 trade back and forth as Lucian ends up going down. Really nice stuff. As Veigar ends up grabbing a kill, and the Inferno blazes across the map as well. We see here in the mid lane just a little bit of a 1v1 tussle.
All right, St. Clair is basically getting a couple gift-wrapped kills for the most part here between Renekton just right-clicking on the turret and top and just AFKing for a bit, and then the attempt at the dragon. They were able to get a bunch of kills, bunch of gold, and a bunch of objectives from it. This is exactly what they need. Of course, still down 1,000 now, so even the gold leads slowly but surely going down. And they're getting there. Exactly.
Slowly but surely, just like you said, as Renekton here in the top lane. Even though he ended up trading his life, I don't think it matters too much. I'm going to be honest. Yorick is now going to go back to base to finally spend that gold. But what is he going to buy? Probably a Phage?
Yeah.
But other than that, Renekton still has his team has the Black Cleaver available for himself. as well. They've got full-on prioritization of this top lane here. The TP is going to be coming out blazing, not going to be going for any sort of stuns, no shenanigans, just to secure the Veigar of the blue buff. Sometimes it does help out your Veigar a little bit. Veigar going to be completing his GLP. Means a little bit more slowing for this champion. As Jussie going inside of enemy lines and then getting out.
Yeah, nobody going to want to chase him. This bottom turret has absolutely no chance at life.
Yep.
It's going to go down momentarily. Sure enough, the 2K gold lead is just about back, or it is back at this point. But a lot of this money just being in turret gold, it very well could go back into Saints' pockets at some point. Just need a couple more fights to go their way so they can get a little bit extra and not just kills off of a play.
Right.
And I mean, 2 dragons is nothing to scoff at either.
Sure.
But not too bad so far, and they aren't giving up too many kills, no like real big overextensions. So execution-wise, they're doing much better compared to game number 1.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're not down by 8k like they were at this point in the game last time. As Realm Warp is going to be coming out. We see the 2-man Realm Warp going to be coming out. Night Soap ends up being taken very, very low. Now you're starting to see the Graves damage come across as Blazin just says, see ya. I don't want any part of that scenario. Nautilus going to be taken very low as he does get back up from his Lucian. Lucian also taking a decent amount of damage. Going to be getting stunned up. And he does get ulted. The point and click is not going to be enough from both members, Blazin and Young Falcon, saying, I have my R key. And that's all I really need, as they end up grabbing a really nice kill. Currently a 2-for-1 right now, as Rise as well going to be coming here in the mid lane. Graves with a whole lot of damage going out with his ultimate. Knights also ends up doing a whole lot of damage to Jussie. Jussie getting stunned up and brought down, as now they want to try and push here in the mid lane.
Back and forth and 2 ults going onto the one target. That is an overkill if I have ever seen one, but it was still something beautiful. And it looks like we're going to get to see it again. We got a replay coming up.
Yeah, let's see that go across, as there was that mid lane fight. We get to see a replay
just
of that after.
Him,
no, he's gone. He was looking for the blast plan. He was looking for any other scenario that he could find. And he found a really nice one as well. Jussie ended up grabbing that kill for himself. But again, the double point and click ults.
And Lucian's a squishy target, man. I think one of those would have worked, but I mean, secured.
Yes, definitely. As they grab the kill onto Lucian. Lucian now not having the absolute best game of his life, but Blazin definitely doing wonders on this champion. 4-1-1. He's 1 death away from throwing the lead of St. Clair, so we have to watch out for that. However, he's been playing a very nice positional game up until this point.
Yeah. And then Jaxley not having anywhere near as much fun this time.
Nope.
Has to be much more careful, and Jussie's thinking about playing with the Gator a little bit, but he's going to get out of there just fine.
That's usually what Renekton's job is up here in the top lane. Once you grab that first tower, you want to try and attract the other person, and if you are in the position to 2v1, you can do that. However, I don't think they are. So they're just going to be trying to set up for this bot lane dragon. We know that St. Clair have been on that objective game this whole entire game. They've got the Herald. They ended up grabbing the first 2 dragons. Now they just need that 1 step closer towards that Infernal Soul, because we know that that soul is so powerful.
Only a couple more seconds here. You can see the pinks and all the wards coming out, and all of the players, for the most part, other than the top laners, are pretty much just trying to keep this thing guarded. Oh, barely caught by it. Can he one-shot him? He is definitely going to be able to do so. That's going to be a huge pick, considering this is spawning in 5 seconds.
Yeah, we were talking about noob killers, and Veigar was one of those that I was saying earlier, and that's exactly why. You put up your cage, enemy dashes into the stun, and you one-shot him. And that's the name of the game for Veigar, as the Herald is going to be summoned here in the mid lane. Renekton also in the top lane, looking for an extra tower for himself, as the rest of St. Clair is going to be able to grab the dragon for themselves. Really good, but also the mid lane tower going to be going down.
Yeah, so the trade is still probably relatively even, if not towards JHU's favor after those 2 turrets go down. And I keep saying it over and over again, but St. Clair, like, the light, they're breathing light. It's showing, but it just seems like JHU is just matching them tit for tat.
Yeah.
Like, we get one advantage, they get another, and you have no mana. You are dead as heck, my friend.
So much damage going across onto the Veigar, as just like you said, the shutdown going to be going down. as we end up seeing JHU grab a kill onto a main priority target. But also, Unstoppable going to be coming through as the Olaf is going to get out of his scenario alive for the time being. However, did have the ultimate, is going to be the Graves. Wasn't really too trusting in his own ability to do too much damage. He's also going to escape from this scenario alive as he ends up just walking out, red buff and all. And also still has his ultimate.
Yeah, I don't think Jesse expected there to be 2 to 3 members of JHU around his red buff, so kind of caught him off guard. And
definitely.
Did I hear that we got ourselves a replay of that, the deletion in mid lane?
Yeah, we did. Nothing too crazy to touch on here, though.
Yeah.
It's just the the knock-up initially onto the Veigar as well. The ultimate going to be coming through from Lucian, just kind of secures that kill. Lucian at this point is allowed to use his ultimate for scenarios like that, just mainly because he's so weak.
Yeah.
Of course, you could say that it's a little bit of a waste of an ultimate, but when you're at that long range, you don't want to be going up to a Veigar, just knowing how much damage could be going down. Also, a little bit of promotion, No Man's Land going to be going down March 14th. We have so many games, as we see on our screen. Runeterra, TFT, Smash, Overwatch, so much more. Definitely come out to the school if you guys want to participate. And that's, however, for the time being, Blue Buff is going to be transferred.
All right, Baron is there and ready for the taken if anybody happens to get the opportunity to go for it. But just everyone playing around their vision, just trying to be as safe as possible. Supports passing boats in the wind.
Nothing too crazy right now. Hook not going to land onto Lord. Could be really cool. However, there is... I thought it was a flank for a second, but it was just a ghoul.
Yeah, that tripped me out too for a second. It's all right.
I was like, hold on.
What is that? Oh,
yeah. Nah, it's just York ultimate. Is going to be coming up in just a little bit. So it's a nice little... I don't want to say a waste, but it's a nice capitalization on a waste of an ultimate.
Does nothing come back relatively quickly, at least for York, or is it take a little while?
Currently it's 1/4 of the way already come back. You can see it right here.
Okay, so probably like a minute 30 or something like that.
Something like that. Dragon also going to be coming up in 2 minutes, so we got to watch out for this next dragon. It is the final soul for St. Clair. So far, they've been really good on taking objectives. However, at this point, 4 towers to 1 for JHU just means that it's a 4K lead for the Blue Jays right now. They're still looking for their Renekton in this side lane just to continue to put down this pressure.
And for people at home who may not be aware or unknown casters, help me. What is a soul? What does the 4th dragon, like, what happens?
Yeah.
I know, like, Baron buff, you get super buff. What happens when you get that 4th dragon?
Right. It's a lot of damage. Since it is going to be an Infernal Soul, it just means that it's a lot of damage going down onto your target. I think it's like every 3 auto attacks, you get an extra powered up auto attack. So you'll see it if St. Clair end up grabbing the soul here. But it also means that the Elder Dragon comes up as the next dragon. So it kind of speeds up the game just a little bit. If an enemy team has all 4 dragons by 25 minutes, it just means that in another 6 minutes, you're going to see an Elder Dragon instead of at 35 like we used to see.
Okay, and then the actual soul itself changes depending on what the last of the 4 dragons are?
Yes. So since this, of course, the walls are all broken down, it means it's an Infernal-based game. So every single dragon after this point is still going to be Infernal if St. Clair doesn't get it. So the Blue Jays still have the potential of getting 4 dragons in a row and getting the soul.
Okay.
A little bit interesting, but new season.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm learning with you guys here today.
There you go. Exactly. Dragon going to be coming up in just 20 seconds. Of course, we explained what it does. And so many priority items are going to be placed on a lot of these members. We see York slowly building up towards the Sterix. Just has Jerome's Fist right now, though, as well as a Triforce for himself. Olaf also has finished up his Black Cleaver, slowly building towards another item as well. Probably going to be Sterix as old Lucian failing the dash over the wall.
You hate to see
forced to flash. You hate to see it.
But, I mean, Saints are going to love this if they can manage to get the jump on them. The calling coming out to try and poke them down, but it looks like the engagement's going down. Yeah, it could be something huge. There's so much damage being traded back and forth. You're seeing Young Falcon being taken very low. Knights ended up getting a really nice kill onto Lord Touch Me as well.
Knight's also going to be taking the Realm Warp to some area of the map. It's going to be in the mid lane to cut off Blazin'. Double kill going to be going down as they want to try and take out Knights up. They're going to do that as well as JHU Blue Jays end up getting the Infernal. So the Soul not going to be going over to St. Clair Saints, as now they just wanted to try and look for more towers, more damage, more potential to try and close out this game at 23 minutes. But it's going to be Baron going to be coming through for Blue Jays.
Okay, so I think it would be safe to say that what St. Clair is running is a burst composition of sorts, right? So how in the world did they allow it to the point where everybody is at half health on Blue Jays? Just the positioning was just so split up, nobody focused on a target. And it was just brutal. Like, with a comp like that, I don't think that should be happening, and that actually is a big downside right now.
That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, I was sorry to cut you off, but I was saying that earlier, is that Syndra cannot die. In that last fight, her positioning was not good, so she ended up falling, even though she had a stopwatch still available for herself. But you've been seeing the combo potential of the Veigar as well as the Syndra ultimate, and it just did not go off there in that last fight. The positioning was completely off. Yorick, I think, was in like the midfield to start off the fight as well. Jussie not staying next to his APC.
Right, he dove the back line.
He went in.
Fair, yes, you're Olaf. That's kind of what you do.
But you have a squishy
somebody needs to stay back. Lord Touch Me was kind of like you're saying in that midfield, but he wasn't. He kind of went down pretty quickly, which sure he's the tank. He's kind of what he's supposed to do. But as soon as that happened, it was all up to Night Soap to try and stop 3 people from charging your squishies. To the point where nobody could pick a target and focus it.
Definitely never a fun scenario if you're playing 10k down now at this point.
Oh, that hurts.
You gotta look for these major bursts. However, when your biggest counter to a burst comp is a GA, Renekton built it. So now
Renekton built it. All right.
You know, now he's at that point where he's basically, I don't want to say unkillable, but he's almost 100 CS above his lane opponent at this point, still continuously pushing into these side lanes. He ended up getting the mid lane tower while the rest of his team ended up going for the Baron. But they still got to look for any sort of tower pressure. Haven't looked for it just yet. JHU still have the Baron buff and still about halfway done, as in the bot lane. The bursts get bursted as Veigar ends up going down as well. They're looking for many towers. Just as I say that they need to start getting these towers, they get an inhibitor in the mid lane, they get a tower in the top lane, they get a tower in the bot lane. They're looking for a lot more, as the rest of St. Clair need to start engaging at this point. And they're going to say
just going for it.
That in the top lane is their potential, but Ryze is Ryze, and Ryze loves to do Ryze things as he rises to the top. As I say, Ryze in all of the best possible ways. Going to be getting the inhibitor as well up here in the top lane. Also, a lot of damage going to be going down onto a bunch of these members. That was just, I couldn't even cast that. That's going to be the ace, is basically what we end up seeing as the Blue Jays end up taking the series 2-0.
Absolutely brutal. Just picks all over the place. Obviously, a little bit of miscommunication on the St. Clair side. We're going fountain diving, and they're going to get away with it until Nautilus. He's not even going to die, is he? He gets away with it, and that is going to be it. That's going to be the 2-0 in the JHU Blue Jays' favor. Very good games. Good showing from them.
That's it.
And for St. Clair, unfortunately, wasn't their greatest showing today, but you can't win them all.
Exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah, we saw a lot of potential out of the St. Clair squad. We've been seeing potential out of them over these past couple of weeks. Let's see if they can build up this squad to be something just a little bit better than what we ended up seeing today, but still a good showing in game number 2. They got stomped game number 1, but they fixed up some of their problems for game 2.
They did.
You know, so it wasn't too bad of a stomp in game 2.
Yeah, and even the major errors that happened in this game, I think are obvious enough to note, like, okay, we just need to practice this. Like, whether it be positioning errors or like shot calling errors, it's all stuff that can be trained up, and these players have been doing fantastic so far this season. It was a bit of a rough loss, but take it, learn from it, and we'll see what happens next Saturday when we get to see them play again.
Exactly. Tune in next Saturday, but we're not really done with Saints gaming action.
Oh my gosh! No,
we got so much. We got so much today for you. We started off with League of Legends. We're going to be going over to CS:GO starting at 6 o'clock, as well as Overwatch starting at 9. So be prepared for a day of a bunch of Saints gaming action. But from over here at the casting desk, we got the double Daniels over here on the cast as we see you guys next time for some more Saints gaming action.
See you later.